Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This week I'm going to be talking about a subject that someone brought up a couple weeks ago when I was doing my live stream readings here on YouTube. If you guys are interested in joining me when I do those live stream readings, just follow me on social media, either on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook, because I always post when I'm going to be going live to do those reading live streams next. And so that way you'll know when I'm going live next, and you'll be able to get updates with that. Also, if I'm stuffy, it's because I've recently had a cold, so I apologize if you are offended by congestion. Not really a lot I can do about that. So today's topic is something that I get asked fairly often, is what is it like seeing spirits? And just kind of in general, the questions that come along with someone asking about that. And so I figured I would answer some of those questions that I commonly get asked in this video, so you guys can help better understand what it's like for someone who sees spirits, or at least for me. One of the first questions that I usually get asked by people is, what do spirits look like? And the reason why I rephrased this question to be, what do spirits look like to you, is because when I have met different mediums or other people who can see spirits, it always is different for every person, and everybody sees them differently. So there are people who see them by literally feeling their energy and literally just knowing what they're wearing, what they look like, what their eye color is, that kind of thing, without actually physically seeing them or seeing them with their third eye. The way that I see them is, to me, they look like holograms. So imagine like the holograms that you see in Star Wars when they're sending the hologram messages. That's what it looks like. So they kind of look like a hologram to me most of the time. Nearly 90% of spirits that I see will show up in that form, simply because most spirits won't have enough energy to materialize completely for me. Some will, but it really depends on the energy of the spirit. So spirits who have more energy than others will show up more opaque to me, whereas ones that don't have the same kind of energy will show up more transparent. So it really just depends on the spirit. Another question that I've gotten asked, which I thought was a good one to add in here, is how can you tell the difference between a human spirit, an angel, and a spirit guide, or other things? And that's a really good question, because for people who don't see them, it's kind of hard to differentiate. However, for me, in my personal experience, it's been that honestly, the energy is just different, and I don't know how to better explain it more than that. It's like human spirits, or spirits of those who have passed over, have a different energy to me than spirit guides, for example. And I'm just going to compare the two. Spirit guides have a slightly higher vibration just because they do carry more energy and a different vibration than human spirits do. And I don't want to even say that human spirits are a negative energy, because it's not. Most of the time, I find that they don't really have a negative energy to them. It's more of how we perceive their energy. In comparison to human spirits, or spirits of those who've passed over, and spirit guides, it is different. And then comparing those two to angelic energy, it is very different. And angelic energy is a very high vibration. You can just, I don't know how else to explain it, but you can just tell. It's just a higher vibration, and it's very, it's just very different. And even comparing that to star being energy, or more commonly known as aliens, that is also a very different energy. It's more electric, it's more tingly. And comparing that to elemental energy, like, all of these beings have different energy forms and different energy vibrations, so it's hard to compare them because they're all so different, but it makes sense why they're different. The next question is, have you ever seen scary ghosts or spirits? Yes, I have. It hasn't been super often, and to be honest, it's weird because when you're watching shows like For example, Medium or what's the other one? Ghost Whisperer. When you see shows like that, they really dramatize it and make it to where she's always seeing a spirit that just catches her off guard, or shows up in a really scary form, or shows up in their dead state, or what I would call their death state. And it really isn't like that very commonly, at least in my experience. In my experience, it has been that I have experienced what you would consider to be scary spirits, such as spirits who don't have any eyes, or spirits who show up in their death state, which when I say that, I mean spirits who show up in the way that they died or show up in the way that their body looked after death. So it could be in a decomposing state, or I don't want to get too graphic here, but for example, if someone had been shot and killed, they may show up with their shooting wounds. So in that case, that would be what I call their death or dead state that they show to me in. So I have had spirits come through that show up to me like that, but it's very uncommon in my experience. I think I would probably say at least 80% of the spirits that I see won't show up in their death state or dead state to me. They'll usually show up in their living state. The next question was, how often do you see scary spirits? And it kind of goes back to what I just said. It was, most of the time it's not them showing up like that, and the experiences that I have had like that have been very rare. And that's not to say that that can't happen, and I don't want to make it seem as though everybody has that experience, because with everybody it's going to be different, and I can't say that if you were to see spirits it would be different for you or it would be the same. So some person may see more spirits in their dead state than another medium sees them. So it really just depends on the person and what they see. Another question that I got asked was, what are the kind of spirits that you commonly see? Are they family members? Are they celebrities? Are they random people? And it really just depends. For example, after my grandmother passed away, she would show up a lot of times when I was doing laundry. And we would just have these conversations and things like that. And she would show up on important dates, like my wedding day, and she would show up at certain times, but she wouldn't be there all the time. Most of the people that I see as far as spirits go are random people, just because, it's just like I don't have a posse of my family members who have passed over just following me all the time. And there have been family members that have passed over that I've never seen, except the day that they died. So it really just depends, and it depends on the soul, and it depends on the person and things like that, and it depends on the circumstances. I have personally only once or twice seen celebrities. I won't disclose who they were, but I have seen them, and I didn't really communicate with them just because I don't really know why they came to me, but I just had a quick conversation with them, asking them if they needed my assistance or if they needed my help. And when they said that they didn't, I asked them if they had any messages, and they didn't disclose any to me, so I just kind of passed them on. And when I say pass them on, I don't mean pass them over, but just kind of released their energy, just to make sure that they weren't being tied to me in any way. Another question that I get asked pretty often is, are all the spirits that are on Earth or in this earthly plane trapped? To me, in my honest opinion, I don't believe so. In my personal experiences and in my personal beliefs, I don't believe that 90% of the spirits on the earth plane are trapped. There are, however, spirits who are quote unquote trapped, but most of the time they're not trapped per se, because trapped to me implies that they don't know how to cross over, or that they feel that they don't really understand that they're dead. Most of them understand that they have passed over, but they just choose not to pass over or go to the other side just because of fear or worry that they're going to be met with judgment or criticized, and really that's not the case. Each each spirit has their own energies and their own paths with them, and I just encourage them to go over when they're in that state of worry and distress of going over. I just try to alleviate that to pass them over, but most of the time I don't find that they're trapped per se. They just choose not to go over for reasons of worry or fear that they're going to be met with something bad on the other side. Another question that I know might come up is, have you ever passed a spirit over? I have done it a few times, and each time I do it, I never force a spirit to go over. They have to go when they're ready. However, when you do pass them over, if it is enforcing them to go over, which I believe would be considered more of an exorcism, um, it really depends on a certain situation. They have to really not want to go over. But most of the time, and I honestly haven't ever experienced anything like that. However, the spirits that I know that have hesitated have just done it because, like I said, out of fear or worry, and not because of ill intent or anything like that. But when I have passed them over, I work with Archangel Azrael a lot to pass the spirits over and help them to the other side. He's kind of been a guide to me throughout my whole life, and he just, I don't feel like I can really call him a guardian angel, because I know that some people might get like antsy about that, because some people don't believe that, you know, some of the main angels can be guardian angels to certain people, and I understand that. But in a sense, he has been a guide to me in just the sense that he is the one that I call on when I want to transfer over spirits, because he's the angel of death, so he knows what he's doing. That, and he tends to be a lot less intimidating to human spirits than Archangel Michael, just in his appearance and his energy. It's a lot more subtle, simply for the reason, and he had explained this to me, simply for the reason that he wants to be more approachable as far as human spirits go. And if you were to die and be in this frightened state and be met with an angel with such intense energy and who's huge, you might be more intimidated than meeting someone who is more your size and more of your energy. So that's why he appears the way he does, at least for me and for the spirits I've worked with. Those are all the questions that I had on my list, but if you have any further questions for me on this subject, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear them, and I will do my best to answer them. I know that I'm not super quick on answering comments, but I try to do it every couple weeks in batch comment sessions, so forgive me if I don't answer right away. It's not because I don't see the comments. I always see the comments, but sometimes I don't get to answering them right away. So feel free to leave them down below if you have any questions for me, and I will do my best to answer them. I do want to mention that I'm no expert in this field, and I don't believe anybody really is. But I just want to say that everything that I talk about on my channel and everything that I share with you guys is my personal experiences and my personal opinion. And I'm not trying to force my views or my way of doing things or my way of seeing things on anybody else. And if you have experiences of your own that you would like to share, please feel free to leave them down below. I would love to hear about them, and start a discussion among all of us, because I know that it will be interesting for other people to hear how it is for other people experiencing those kind of things. But I will do my best to stay part of the conversation down below as much as I can. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. If you have any video suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below, or contact me directly through my website www.arielwillow.com on the contact page. And I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you so much for your support on my channel. I really do appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye! I see a spider, and then I didn't see a spider. And now I'm just frustrated because it's probably going to end up in my bed later tonight. You better not end up in my bed, spider.